Okay, so for my case, I decided to do doping in sport. My name is Daniel Mueller. My professor is Dr. Olashola, and it is June 29th, 2015, and this is my virtual legal brief. Okay, so my opening statement is addressing Mr. Diak, and he is the president of the International Association of Athletics Foundation, and he has the power to change punishment for athletes who use PEDs or performance-enhancing drugs. I'm arguing that if a professional athlete is caught using PEDs, they should be banned for life. They would have to change the World Anti-Doping Code, and the World Anti-Doping Code states that, well, it is basically the fundamental and universal document upon which the World Anti-Doping Program in sport is based. The purpose of the code is to advance the anti-doping effort throughout universal harmonization of core anti-doping elements. And this is the section of the World Anti-Doping Code that goes over the consequences for anti-doping violations. There's A, B, and C. A states that if an athlete is caught doping, they can be disqualified. B states that they can be suspended from competition for a certain period of time. And C states that they are suspended temporarily whenever the court's coming to a final decision at the hearing. And I'm arguing that B should be omitted from it. And that means that B is saying that they can be suspended for a certain period of time. I think that if they're caught, they should be suspended for life. The only reason they should be suspended for a certain period of time is if they're waiting on the court's decision. So let's look at a case. In 2001, Justin Gatlin was tested positive for Adderall, which is against the USADA, and from that he was supposed to be suspended for 2 years because it's illegal to take Adderall and compete in track. But he had a prescription for it, and even though that was still illegal, the court thought that he was innocent, so he really just went they just turned it into a violation. He was never really suspended, aside from a meet or two, and they did this because they thought he made a mistake. But if we fast forward 6 years, in 2006, Justin Gatlin was caught using steroids. He tested positive for steroids at a meet, and that is completely illegal. It's supposed to be a lifetime ban because it was a second offense, but what the courts decided to do is because they felt that his first offense wasn't real. They didn't really consider it a real one. They only banned him for 8 years, and currently he is one of the top sprinters in the world, and it's brought up a lot of controversy with track. Everyone still thinks he's doping, and track has lost a lot of its legitimacy, as have sports overall. An example where I think they did the right thing was with Lance Armstrong. This one's actually over Michael Phelps. I messed up on the title for that. Michael Phelps is a U.S. Olympic swimmer, and in 2009 he was caught smoking marijuana, and he had a sponsorship with Kellogg, but they didn't sue him. They just didn't renew his contract, which I thought they let him off pretty light. I feel like they could have sued him for a lot of money, as he was one of their spokespeople. But they also stopped him from competing, and he's not allowed to compete until the 2016 Olympics. I think this is an example of something that should have been a lifetime suspension, and they're being soft on him, and they're overlooking him because how good of an athlete he was and is. As a professional athlete, one has a reputation to uphold, and once they have failed to do that, they should be suspended from the sport for life, I believe. Now this is an example of another athlete who has been caught doing sports, another famous one, Lance Armstrong. He was caught using PEDs, and when he was caught, I'll get to them stripping the titles away later, but when he was caught, he had a sponsor, the Postal Service, from 1995 to 2004, and they sued him for $40 million but he actually had to pay very little of it because unless the claim was made before June 10th, 2014, it didn't count. So he did not have to pay that. The Postal Service did not end up receiving what they were asked for. And I believe that the only way we're going to stop athletes from using PEDs is to make consequences worse. Like in this case, Lance was banned from the sport, stripped of his entire Tour de France titles, and sued for millions. That seems like a pretty big deterrent to me. Imagine if his ban was shorter and he was competing out winning again. Cycling's reputation would have been hurt, and sports would have suffered as well because everyone would have thought athletes were doping. In conclusion, the punishment for taking PEDs is currently not strong enough. We can see this by the number of people getting caught. If the punishment were to be more severe, less athletes would be comfortable taking PEDs, therefore less athletes would be taking them. I had mentioned cases above where a good conclusion was come to by the bodies, and some cases where a bad conclusion was come to, like I believe Justin Gatlin. There needs to be a change in the WADC, so specifically by omitting Section B of the Consequences of Anti-Doping Rules Violations part. And hopefully that will promote clean sports worldwide and lessen bad publicity sports as a whole for drug accusations. And those are my references. Thank you for watching.